how do you know when you've got a bad law on the books? Well, a really good tip-off is if the law is being broken, but nothing really bad happens. But on the flip side, if the law is being broken, and it is only until law enforcement gets involved that the situation escalates into violence and chaos directly because of law enforcement's involvement. That is a pretty good clue. That seems to be what occurred here in Delaware with this kid, Roger Brown. Now apparently when they arrested this kid, they did find weed on him, some money, and some prescription pills. Now let's assume the worst and say that he was actually selling this stuff. Not a huge leap of the imagination. Does that still justify the absolute pummeling of a teenager by two grown men? I would think not. I would think that even if this kid was selling weed or alcohol or anything, that would be something that sure, the parents, teachers, community members, whoever, they should have a conversation with the kid, or the parents should even punish him for doing something so stupid and irresponsible given the risks of selling things on the black market. But once two grown men are beating the tar out of a teenager, then the conversation shifts a little bit to what the hell is wrong with those supposed adults. Now I should say, I don't know what led up to this point where these police officers are pounding on this kid. Maybe the kid took a swing at them beforehand. I'm not quite sure. It certainly looks like the kid's hands are over his face and he's in a subdued position. Seems rather excessive to me, but the real point here is what I mentioned before. This really speaks to marijuana and drug laws in general and why they are terrible laws, because they certainly breed mistrust and uneasiness between the public and the police. The police are supposed to be protecting and serving the community, and this video does not seem like anyone is being protected and no one is being served. Like I said, this applies to many situations involving marijuana or any other drug laws. You have a situation that's pretty low stakes. There is often no violence, no chaos, and no pandemonium, and it is only when the laws and law enforcement enters into the equation when chaos, violence, and pandemonium enters right behind them. You can just think of almost any medicinal or recreational marijuana shop that was raided by the DEA as an example, or during alcohol prohibition. You had peaceful situations that were made violent directly by our stupid laws and our overzealous law enforcement. That is the telltale sign of a terrible law. For example, can you imagine if a robbery was occurring in your neighborhood and someone runs into that home, subdues the perpetrator, and maybe even punches them, but they manage to stop the robbery? Most people's reaction would be of thankfulness. I mean, they might say, hey, you put yourself in danger, you didn't need to do that, but you stopped a robbery and everyone is thankful for you that you did that. You did a service for everyone. That's a pretty clear-cut form of justice that occurred, whether it was police officers that stopped it or just a regular citizen that stopped the robbery. People can naturally see the integrity in doing something like that. Now, what if it was this situation? Some kid is selling weed or selling some alcohol or whatever it is, and two guys, let's say they're not police officers, they go up to the kid and begin bashing him in the face until he's on the ground, and they begin choking him out. People can naturally sense that this would be an entirely different situation. No one's property was at risk, no one was being defrauded, no one was under any immediate threat of being harmed. The fear, the chaos, and the violence would entirely be the fault of the guys who were beating the kid up. Another way to look at it is this: how unsafe does a kid like that make a society? I doubt he makes society very unsafe, but if you have two full-grown men going around beating the crap out of teenagers they suspect might have some weed in their pocket, that only adds instability to a society. That does not help in any sense. Because like I said, I don't know if this teenager threw a punch or threw something at these officers. I guess it's possible, but if that did not happen, then these two police officers do not deserve to just be fired. They deserve to be thrown in prison, as there is something literally wrong in their heads. There is something terribly off about them. It's something I say a lot. We should not be throwing people into cages like they're animals because of marijuana. But oddly enough, these two police officers are acting just like that. They are acting like a bunch of wild animals that just got their claws on some prey. And if there wasn't something extremely clear that led to them acting like this, then they deserve to be in prison. And society would be far safer with them in prison, rather than them being out on the streets beating the crap out of some teenager because they might have a plant in their pocket. But that's all for now. Please like and subscribe and share and all that good stuff. See you later.